So today's video is actually a super highly requested video. I didn't even know people cared about things like this. I mean, I've seen them a few times on my recommended, but I didn't think people really wanted to hear about what I do. But today we're going to be talking about how I annotate my books and about how I book journal. So I literally get so many questions because I talk about my book journal in a lot of my videos, and also I recently started annotating my books, and a lot of people have been asking me on my DMs or my comments to do a video about this. So here we are today. So I just want to cut straight to the chase because honestly it's like pretty self-explanatory, but I recently just started annotating my books. These are like the only two books that I can really show that I've annotated. I've actually like read more than these, but these are just the books I've wanted to annotate because I have never annotated books before. It's just not been something that I ever did. Like I saw other people do it and I just didn't ever think about doing it. But the thing is, I found myself like when I would watch, like say I'm on TikTok and I see people talking about a book and it's like a quote from the book, and I genuinely could not remember that happening in the book, and I was a little like, okay, do you have short-term memory loss or something? Like, you just read this book, why can't you remember that? I found, especially, this is like one of my most latest reads from Luke Off with Love, I annotated this book heavily, like really heavily, and that's part of the reason why I decided to make today's video, because I posted this and I got so many questions on like what my tabs mean, how I annotate, etc, etc. After I started tabbing my books, I started realizing that I was kind of processing information more and annotating, which I should have known because in school when I would annotate things, like obviously that's how I retained my information. So I recently just started developing that and doing that with books. But here's the thing, I don't annotate all of my books because unless it's a book like this one where I'm really enjoying it and feel like I want to tab or underline a thing, that I'm going to do it. But I've always been a super casual reader because I enjoy it, and I don't want it to feel like it's like an assignment for me, because I think also partly why I never annotated books was like my brain kind of correlated that with school, so I just didn't enjoy it. But we are going to talk about how I tab my books, how I annotate, and kind of break down some stuff. Also, I just want to highlight on a few of my favorite book accessories. First, I got this booklight for Christmas, and I've literally been using it so much because I've been trying to get through. You guys can't see, but off camera, I have my TBR cart literally right there, and I've been trying to work through my physical TBR. So night reading, it's like, so you have like this super bright one and then dimmer, and then it turns off, and you can like swivel it. Super good. I'm pretty sure this was only like $7 on Amazon, so I'll try to find it and link it down below because it's absolutely amazing. And then some of my favorite things to annotate anything are the midliner highlighters. I literally have an entire bucket of them that I got for Christmas last year. So these have always been my favorite highlighters all throughout school and everything. So if you guys have never used midliner, I would definitely recommend. They're a little bit more on the pricey side, but they're really absolutely amazing. I love them. As for my pens that I use these. They are the Bic Gelosity ones, and I love colored pens. All in school, when I was in school, like when I had to take notes, I always had to take them with colored pens, highlighters, everything, because that's how I retained information. That's how I would actually take notes. So I'm like that with reading, of course. So I just have like the 4-pack that has the pink, blue, green, and purple, and I love them because I love gel and they write so smoothly. A lot of people ask me what tabs I have been using, so I didn't know if I would like tabbing books. Then after I read from Luke Off with Love, I decided that I do like tabbing them if I'm really enjoying the book. So I just had these like Post-it, they're literally just the Post-it brand, and it was just little, like I think there was just like pink, purple, green, blue, and orange. I think that's all that came in this pack, and I had like another one that was just like, I think like the Target brand that just had some. But literally I just placed an order on Amazon and I got these that I see everyone annotate with. Like these are the ones that I see. I'm gonna try to link them down below, but I think there's like 600, but they're like these little like flag ones, these little arrow ones. They come with so many colors, and then just these like regular tabs. But this is how I tab my books and what the colors mean and everything like that. So we'll start with orange. So orange is anything that I find funny, like, because orange is just a bright color, so I correlated that with anything that I find funny. And if you've read from Luke Off with Love, you'd understand why there are so many orange tabs in this book. And then you have green. Green are things that either it's a quote that I want to remember, or it's something that I feel like is important to the plot that will come into correlation later, and that will start like making sense later down the road. So if it's green, it's because I think it's important to the story. And then we have yellow. These are things that just make me happy. Like these are just, of course, yellow is my favorite color, and yellow kind of usually correlates with happiness, so that's what that means. And then of course we have pink for all of like the cute scenes. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then blue, of course, correlates to like stuff that made me sad. So like in reminders of him, there's a lot of blue tabs, because go watch my reading vlog if you haven't. That freaking book made me cry so bad. But I think those were like all of the colors that were in this. But basically how I annotate, just like that, I tab things. Like I said, if they mean something, then I'll tab it. And then if I'm underlining something, it's just because it's something I want to be underlined. Like even if I'm tabbing it, I also want to underline it, because sometimes my tab books, it's just because like there's a certain section, I'm not going to underline the whole section, because here's something, you guys, I have said before, but if this is maybe your first video seeing me, I do not like to write inside of my books. So what I will do, how there's, you may or may not see, there are just little brackets, so I don't underline because I hate the way underlining looks. So I just kind of bracket the section that I'm talking about. It's very minimal. That's how I annotate, because it's just like, even though I tabbed that, when I tab it, sometimes it can mean a whole entire section, or it can mean just that underlined part. So that's really all that I do, and I'll write in sometimes some notes, but that's really the extent as to what my annotating goes. I'm just not a huge fan of writing inside of books. Also not a huge fan of tabs sticking out of books. So I'm trying to get like used to it, but like I said, I don't do it for every single book. Like I just read The Mistake and The Score, and I didn't annotate those at all. I do also just want to say like a disclaimer. I feel like sometimes when people say that they annotate or tab books or keep a book journal, you think to the extent that it's like super really in depth. Even when I get to my book journal, my stuff is not in depth, because for me, I don't want it to seem like a chore. If you enjoy getting really in depth with your book journaling, that's something for you, but you don't have to, because sometimes I feel like when people see people annotating and tagging books, you feel like, oh, I have to like live up to that. You can just like tab 3 tabs or 1 to remember something, or annotate very little or none in your book, or just keep a super simple book journal like I do, because that's literally all I do. That is how I annotate and tab my book. So now we're going to move on to how I book journal. Usually, so my book journal had been this. I've just had this journal for years, and just nothing that I've ever done worked out with it. I don't know why, but I just like really wanted to start over, because I just used this journal for so many different things, and I just really wanted to start over, and I wanted to like get a new book journal. So I took a trip to Barnes & Noble yesterday, and I got the cutest freaking book journal. It is a little, like, it's a little bookshelf with so many colors, and all of these are like classics. So you have The Great Gatsby, Pride and Prejudice, Wuthering Heights, The Awakening, Animal Farm, Fahrenheit 451, and they did it in such an aesthetic way. And also it has the little spiral. Oh my god, I love spiral notebooks. That way I can just flip it like this. Let's get into how I book journal. So I'm just gonna like give you guys a quick little overview. I usually honestly just have this book journal for my reading wrap-ups, like just so I can remember, because you know I can read up to 10 plus books a month, and sometimes that gets a little sidetracky in my mind, so I forget a lot of what happened, so I write it down. This is just how I do it, genuinely. So at the top of the page, I just put February. That way I know what month that I read these in, and I just kind of order them. Number 1, what was my first read of the month, I rate it, and I write my thoughts down about it, and that's it. You can write down like quotes that you liked, you can really dissect it more, but I just don't because like I said, for most of it, it's all in my brain if it's really deep like that. And 2, I can't really talk about that on my channel, because like that, if I do reading wrap-ups, it can't exactly be a spoiler one, so I can't really usually go into depth about them. I just have like little things that I liked, and then if I don't like something, I'll write something that I didn't like, just little stuff like that. And that's honestly really the extent of what my book journal is. I just kind of keep a book journal to keep track of my reads, the ratings, because on Goodreads, you guys can follow me over my Goodreads. All of my socials are always linked down below. I get a lot of DMs asking for my Goodreads, and every single video, the description, anything that you would need to find is always down there. I get a lot of like questions, and on my Goodreads, you'll see a rating, but say I rated a book 4 stars, and it's really like a 4.25 or 4.5 or 4.75. Like I will have the exact ratings and what I think down in my book journal. So that is like the most important thing to me. And also just sometimes after reading a book, getting your thoughts down on a page, it just kind of makes it more real. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's basically how I book journal. That is basically it, you guys. When I tell you guys, I am literally the most simple person when it comes to this stuff. Like, I don't try to go and make it super complicated, but again, if that's something that you like, then that's amazing, because you know, everyone likes different things. But don't ever feel pressured to like that you have to be like super in-depth, or that you even have to keep a book journal, because if you don't want to, then you don't need to. And there are a bunch of different ways you can book journal. I'm pretty sure there are little literal book journals that you can buy that have like prompts. But yeah, for me, I just put the rating, the title, what number it is, and go on about my day. That is it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up down below. And if you guys like me, subscribe down below for more book content, lifestyle stuff like that. And I will see you guys when I see ya. Peace.